What's going on, video game voting Vanguardians? It's your boy, the video game voter, here with another special episode. So, we all sat, we all watched it, we all had time to take it in. So, it's time to talk about the Xbox Game Showcase that took place yesterday. As you can see, I got it playing in the background of the video. So, Xbox hosted this event to announce some games, a lot of launch titles, and just what they got coming in the future for the next generation of consoles and what they're bringing to the table in the Xbox Series X. So let's talk about these list of games. I made my notes, and I'm going to tell you what I think overall at the end once we go through some of these games. So, of course, number one being Halo Infinite, which I believe is going to be a launch title. The game looks great. That's something that I'm looking forward to. Also, another one that I was very impressed with was State of Decay 3. That trailer looks fantastic. It may make it through as far as showing the video in the background. State of Decay looks great. Forza Motorsport looks fantastic. And that's supposed to have been in-game footage running on the Series X hardware. And that looks awesome. Then they had Everwild. Can't really remember too much about that one. But then they had Tell Me Why. That was a very interesting one. I'm not sure, they didn't really show the gameplay, but they kind of showed the plot where it's like a family and it's almost like a, it could be a survival horror. I don't know. As you can see, Halo Infinite in the background. Then they had Ori. It's going to be basically remastered and powered to run on Series X. Supposed to be enhanced graphics and frames per second. Supposed to be a lot higher. Supposed to be a lot cleaner and crisper. Then they had the Outer Worlds Peril on, I think it's Gurgon, something like that. I don't know how you pronounce it, but that's a very popular series. I personally have never played any of them, so that's something I may be looking forward to. Then they also had Grounded, which they I'm assuming, I didn't pay too much close attention, but I think the same developer that's making Cyberpunk 2077 made Grounded, because they did mention something about Cyberpunk at the beginning of that. So, it wasn't nothing to me that stood out about that game. Then they also had, I think it's called Arrowed. That game looked pretty good. As Dusk Falls, that's another game that I thought was pretty awesome. That looked cool. Then they also had Hell's Blade, Psychonauts 2. That's something that I know a lot of people are looking forward to. Destiny 2 Beyond Light. That's like again, another remaster. It's supposed to be made to work on the Series X, and I believe that's going to be one of those smart delivery ones if you have it on the Xbox One as well. Also, another big one, and these last few ones are going to be exclusive launch titles for the Xbox, which is very important. Stalker 2, that looked fantastic. That's one that I have checked off that I was thoroughly impressed with. Warhammer Dark Tide, that looks awesome as well. If you guys are familiar with the Warhammer series, especially on the Xbox 360, I want to say that those are exclusive to Microsoft. I'm not sure, but I know this one is, and it looks fantastic. Tetris Effect Connected, that looks fantastic. I'm a big Tetris fan, which sounds crazy that someone would look for that, but I'm telling you, Tetris is a blast. I know everyone and their mom has played Tetris, but I'm excited for it. Then you had, I think it's called The Gunk. That looked pretty cool. I think that was like an action adventure style game. Then you had The Medium. That was something that I saw was getting a lot of buzz online as well. Then they had probably one of my top favorites, these next two. Well, I'll get into one. Fable. They didn't show really any gameplay. They just kind of gave you like a little teaser trailer. I know everyone's excited about Fable. I've only played a little bit. Didn't get a chance to dive into that one quite as deep, but Fable's another heavy title. But that, I don't know if that's going to be a launch title or not. That they didn't really say that. But the two ones that I was most impressed with, number one being New Genesis Phantasy Star Online 2. I was super impressed with that. Graphically, it don't look all the way there yet, but just the style of gameplay, it kind of gave me like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild vibes a little bit as far as the shooting mechanics and stuff like that. And I'm not comparing it to Zelda, guys, before you guys lose your crap. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying as far as the style of play, how I looked, and fighting mechanics and stuff like that. Also, Crossfire X. Now, that game looks fantastic. That is a first-person shooter game, and if you were looking at the trailer right there at the bottom, it was saying that the online multiplayer will be free to play game. And I tell you what, we haven't heard anything about the new Call of Duty yet. If this Crossfire X game looks the way that I think that it looks, I think Call of Duty may be in trouble, because that game looks fantastic. Again, it's an exclusive Xbox launch title, and like I said, that game looks great. You know, outside of Halo, those two, the Phantasy Star Online 2 and Crossfire X, probably look like my favorites. And I think, along with some other people right now, we're kind of course, I'm getting both consoles day one. I'll have both of them at launch, so I'm going to pre-order as soon as the word gets out. So right now, I'm just kind of looking at what they're going to have for launch titles for both consoles, and I'm just kind of picking through and deciding which ones I want to go with at launch, because I decided with these new generations that since my collection has grown, I got a substantial amount of games. I still have space down here, but instead of me having a bunch of games that I haven't played yet, what I plan on doing is just taking one game at a time and playing that through, finishing it, and then buying another one. So that's my plan moving forward. So right now I am kind of shifting through what's going to be the launch titles and deciding which way I want to go as far as with system, and I'm going to dig a little deeper into each one, over the next few months to kind of decide, lock in. Like I said, I really like Crossfire X. I like Phantasy Star Online 2, and of course Halo, as we see in the background. That's another heavy hitter I'm looking into. So and just what I think overall, I would say they were probably between PlayStation and Xbox. It was neck and neck. With Sony's presentation, they didn't really say what was going to be launch titles. They didn't really confirm those just yet. So I do like the way Xbox set theirs up. I see some people in the gaming community kind of, are disappointed with it. But if we're being honest, you don't really see the full performance or capabilities of new generation consoles, not until deeper into the life cycle, because they haven't fully mastered new hardware. And as far as they can push the limits, that's going to take time to perfect and really dig and see how deep they can get into as far as what they put into what they're creating. So I just think it's too soon to kind of judge. And honestly, right away, you're not going to see the difference. I feel like graphically and power-wise, the gaming consoles have come so far, especially like even with the last generation release. Right away, you didn't see a difference. If we're being completely honest, I had PS4 on launch day. It wasn't a huge difference. You see the difference within the first few months, and that's only if you're playing the current generation console, which in this case would be the PS5 and the Series X, and you don't go back to the Xbox One or the PS4. Because when you do go back in a few months, then you look like, oh man, I can't believe I was playing this. Because that's when I noticed the difference in the PS4 and the PS3. But right away, you're not going to see it. It's not going to be anything that blows you away. And if we're being completely honest, moving forward, something I was watching Radical Reggie's live stream yesterday, and he made a great point. Nothing with these new consoles moving forward is going to blow you away until it gets to the point where it looks like it's actually real people in the games. I mean, we just come so far as far as the performance and graphically and stuff like that with video games. It's almost beginning to reach a plateau. So it's like now it's going to really come up to the developers to come up with just different and unique games and different plots and stuff like that to really stand out from the last generation of games, because graphically I feel like at this point we're reaching a plateau. So that's something to keep in mind, not to take anything away from the hard work that's being put out by both manufacturers and developers and what they're creating, but it's going to be difficult to kind of get any better than where we're at, is where I'm getting at. So I'm not a huge person that's going to break it down super critical like that. I kind of go off of what I see and what I enjoy and stuff like that. And I think for the most part, a lot of people saying that you can't really go off of what's stronger and what looks better. It's really about the entertainment value that it brings to you and how the consumer feels and when they're playing it and how fun it is and stuff like that at this point. So that's just my personal opinion. And also wanted to just touch on who I feel like right now has had the better pre-launch, and right now I gotta say Microsoft. Microsoft laid out they showed a whole bunch of games that they're gonna have available at launch. They also showed what they had coming forward, and something that the rep from Microsoft, I want to say it was Phil Spencer. Don't quote me on that, but he said there should be over 100 titles available on the Series X this holiday season, which is phenomenal. To say that you're gonna have that much, and if it's set to release in November like everyone's expecting, that means within a month or two of launch, you're gonna have over 100 titles to select from. But even the 22 that's going to be available at launch is fantastic. That's something to keep in mind, and it's just fantastic. Yeah, so 22 games at launch, that's a lot to choose from. If we're being completely honest, I don't know. Again, Sony didn't confirm what was going to be available at launch, but 22 games at launch, that's a decent amount of titles to choose from. It's definitely giving the consumer a lot to choose from. Also, Microsoft, from what I understand, is going to make the Series X memory expandable, meaning like you can buy a bigger hard drive. That's something I've been pushing for the longest, especially with this last generation where, they initially release the standard console, and then they come out with ones with larger storage capacity. But I feel like I don't want to be spending money more than once if I don't have to. If I do, then maybe spend a fraction to expand my memory, but not buy a whole new console like I had to do, for instance, with my PS4. Luckily, I kind of had to do it with the Xbox as well. I had to do some things and move it around and get rid of the original Xbox One to get at least the One S to get a little bit more memory. But the PS4, I had to get rid of the old one and then get the one with the 1 terabyte hard drive. But I don't want to, me personally, I don't want to do that. I want to spend the larger amount of money first, and then if I wanted to expand my memory, I could do so. But to me, it seems that Microsoft is really in tune with the fans and what they want. As you can see, the State of Decay trailer, State of Decay 3 trailer was playing in the background there. They're catering to the fans, and the fans want backwards compatibility. They want to be able to expand their memory. They're doing smart delivery. I feel like they're doing a lot. There's Phil Spencer. They're doing a lot for the fans, and that's very important. I feel like Microsoft has learned from their previous mistakes with launch and stuff like that, and I really think they got it together. It's not to say that Sony isn't, but to me, they're behind the 8 ball. Right now, we're pushing the end of July. We're going into August, so you got September and October. We got basically 2 months, 2.5 months, maybe 3. I'm guessing around the second week of November will be a release of both consoles, give or take a week. But you got a solid 2 months, maybe 3 months to really roll this next generation of consoles out. And I just feel like Microsoft is thoroughly prepared. And as they were saying, they got a lot more to premiere and stuff like that. And even with the backwards compatibility, it's just, to me, Microsoft is more in tune in what the consumer wants. So that's something to look forward to. I'm also predicting that the Series X is going to be cheaper by at least $100. I'm almost guaranteeing it. You're in the here right now. I'm looking at about a $400 price point, maybe $450, and maybe like $250 for the digital edition. I'm just telling you right now, I think they're going to cut PlayStation by at least $100 on both sides, the digital and the physical side. But I was impressed with it. I would say they were probably neck and neck, but if I could, I'd probably give a little edge to Microsoft because they laid out what exactly was going to be available at launch, and that could go up, but they said, confirmed, they showed you 22 games that's going to be available at launch, and a lot of these games also, like it just said with the Forza Motorsports, was captured by using the hardware, like in game. So that's fantastic. Like, see, captured in the engine. Look at this Forza gameplay, for instance. That's fantastic. It looks great. So honestly, the more and more we see of these, and now we saw what PlayStation was bringing to the table, now we saw a little bit more Microsoft bringing to the table. I'm getting excited, so I can't wait. I feel like the pre-order should have started already. Again, with COVID and everything was kind of pushed back and stuff like that, because normally we would have pre-order and pricing, we would have had that really last month, because a lot of times that information is released around E3. E3 would have taken place the first week of June, and Again, we're pushing the end of July. So I'm expecting to hear something about the price point and pre-orders within the next couple weeks. I'm guessing next 2 weeks, because like I said, they basically got a solid 2 months to really roll this next generation of consoles out. So let me know down in the comment section what you guys think about the Xbox showcase as far as the games. Where do you feel that they stand? Who would you give the upper hand to? Which console are you leaning more towards? And who do you think is having the better pre-launch? I'm curious to know your opinion. Let me know down in the comment section below. It's your boy, the Video Game Votary. Stay safe.